So this is going to be good because there's no stabilization on this receiver. We just have the telemetry. I don't know if you can see it here, probably not. We just have the RSSI feed telemetry, and we have the battery voltage, which is good for this one because it kind of dies out quick.
What's up, everybody? John here at Metal Aviation, and today I want to talk about Horizon Hobbies Ultimate 3D with and without stabilization. Now, this is a video I really had no idea I was going to make, had no thoughts to make this video because I'd already kind of talked about the Ultimate 3D. There's a ton of videos out there on that plane anyway. I went through my rant. Go watch the SPEKTRUM You've Been Canceled video if you want to see a bunch of awesome rants. I went on my rants about all that, got it out of my system, was done. Pulled the AS3X receiver out of my Ultimate 3D and threw in a RadioMaster R168. Good to go, right? Took it out and flew it, and I do have the video. We're going to overlay the video in this video, and I'm going to kind of hopefully show the scenes and me talking about flying that plane without stabilization as I'm narrating it here. We'll go back and forth. Maybe we'll figure something out. But I just want to talk about it because I was really surprised, and my hate for SPEKTRUM, I shouldn't say hate, but my disdain, whatever, for SPEKTRUM has dropped a little bit because I do have an appreciation factor for the AS3X and a couple things that seemed really, not odd to me, but I was surprised about. So what happened was I took the plane out and flew it without the AS3X stabilization.
Whoa. So I'm going to keep it low, like low throttle till I come across. Seems like, wait, hold on. This seems way tough.
The one thing I noticed right off the bat, it was super touchy, right? I mean, super duper touchy. Now, I still had the rates set exactly the same in my radio. All I did was switch the receiver. I didn't change any of the percentages, any of the rates. I didn't need to do any of that. So I was really surprised at how touchy it was. It felt like the rates had actually increased a little bit. So my guess there is that possibly the RadioMaster receiver throws are a little higher. I just really highly doubt that. It's possible, but maybe it's pushing that servo a little further. Or the AS3X is, I don't want to say dumbing it down, but softening up the flight characteristics a little bit.
So we definitely are noticing a huge difference without the AS3X. Like this thing, you have to be on it, which is fine with me, right? I just gotta get used to it. We're gonna drop those low rates down a little bit. I mean, it is pretty, it's definitely a difference for sure. I mean, the wind is definitely affecting it. I definitely would say anybody who's buying this plane that's just kind of upgrading from, you know, beginner or maybe intermediate, that you probably stick with the receiver that's in it. I'm totally cool with this, but it's definitely noticeable. The AS3X is definitely noticeable, but I'm definitely cool without it. I like the fact that I am 100% control. I have to make any adjustments that are needed for wind and whatnot. That's fine with me. And that's what I want. That's why I fly. But definitely noticeable. I would definitely, I think someone who bought this plane and was flying it and thinking they were the shit, and they took that off and flew it straight up, they'd be a little nervous, if not possibly crash it. But definitely noticeable. Definitely. I am shocked at the difference.
The one thing I did notice flying with AS3X, and I thought it was just the tendency of the plane, is that when I would come up and say roll and then come down like into it from a split S, and when I'd pull up, it would seem like I'd have to pull the joystick a lot further than I should have to pull up, right? I mean, I had to pull down a lot to get it to pull out. The first few times I flew it and I did that maneuver, I actually came pretty close to the ground because I'm like, you know, I shouldn't have to push it this hard, you know, to pull up. And I just thought that was really odd, but I just chalked it up to the characteristics of the plane, right? And I got used to it and flew around. That's the one thing about it. Your brain will get used to any weird flight characteristics and compensate for it. So after flying a lot on any weird plane, you usually can fly a lot better than you can the first few times. But anyway, getting back to where I was is I thought that was kind of odd when I first flew it, but I didn't think a whole lot about it. I thought that was just the plane. Now the exact same rates, when I do the same maneuver, boom, it pulls up quick, like I thought it would originally. And again, the AS3X is what I think is doing that. It almost felt like I had Expo programmed, right? There was way too much movement in that bottom end, or the center area. I call it the bottom end of the stick, right? I had to go too far to get that elevator to do what I needed it to do. And again, I didn't think too much of it, but once that AS3X was turned off, boom, it's controlling like I felt it normally would. So I don't know enough about the AS3X, and maybe somebody does, and throw something in the comments. It seemed to me like it almost had Expo, like the AS3X that has some built-in type of Expo. Again, that's just all I could compare it to. Once that receiver was out, boom, it was 100% normal. Super duper touchy though. It's like I almost had problems flying it because the movements I'm used to making prior to switching receivers were way over exaggerated, because again, like I said, all my movements seemed like they had to be a little more than they needed to be. And I'm going to attribute that to the AS3X. So at first I was like, wow, I can't fly this. Maybe the AS3X is doing more than I thought it would. And I've flown, a lot more advanced planes than that. So I kept flying it. I flew that battery out, and I was just really surprised at how touchy it was. So I went ahead and landed it, and I switched batteries out, and I thought, well, I'm gonna drop down the rates a little bit.
I'll have to knock the rates down for sure. Definitely have to knock the rates down. I don't know if I can even fly this on full rates. I have to give it a little bit of a few test runs. I'm cool on these rates. I'm not stunt pilot guy to begin with, so I just bought this to practice my knife edge and inverted flying, which I used to be able to do back in the day fairly well. I mean, it tracks nice, it's just touchy. I mean, if I left the sticks, it's tracking nice. Night and day though, folks, without the AS3X, definitely. So Spektrum, I'm gonna give you your props. I'm not gonna lie here. See, full throttle, we're at 13.24. So the AS3X makes a big difference. So we got low battery. So this is, I have it set at 13 volts, a low battery alert. And that looks like that's about perfect, because it is ready to come in. Not complete dead battery, but shit. Yeah, I think all right, so we need to set that low battery alarm a little bit higher, because at 13, it's pretty much when it dies.
Now the rates were set to 50. The low rates were 50. That plane has a lot of throw, and again, I believe that AS3X is doing an Expo type thing, while it's on. So I dropped the rates down from 50 to 40 or 40 to 30. I honestly can't remember. I don't feel like looking at my transmitter right now. I dropped them down 10%. That was my goal. So I'm dropping these down 10% to see what happens. Put a battery in it, took it off, boom, flew perfect. Flew exactly like I would expect it to fly on low rates.
There we go. There we go. That helped out. Yes, that's the rates definitely helped out. All right, so that's key there. So now it feels a lot more like it did with the AS3X. Still, it's touchy, but not nearly what it was. I probably need to adjust the up and down a little bit, but now it's flying nice. So it's, drop the rates down or program some Expo. But yeah, we're good to go now. There we go. So I have 40% of my low rates. I'll probably play around with the medium and high rates. I do have 3 rates set for this, but no, it's flying. Yes, I'm digging it. Now I feel like yes. Very nice. Let's do a little bit of flyby here. We can yeah, I'm digging it now. So now we're back to where we were with the AS3X. And again, I do recommend anybody buying this plane, if you're dropping up from beginner to intermediate or even around that area, go ahead and leave that AS3X receiver in there.
But what I'm getting at here with this whole spiel is that I feel that particular plane without AS3X wouldn't be as accessible to a lot of people as it is now, because I was blown away at the difference. Like I said, the only word I can think is it got softened up. That AS3X softened it up, right? Now I didn't have safe, you know, so I still could do all the maneuvers I wanted to, but again, it just had that softer feel to it. And in the video, I even say I got to give credit to SPEKTRUM, because I feel that AS3X would be helpful to someone moving up to the next level, and it's not safe. It's not controlling the plane for them. It's no different than adding Expo, right? If my plane's super touchy, I put some Expo in it. I don't use Expo. I don't like Expo. And that was one of the things I didn't like about the Ultimate 3D, was when I came out of that maneuver, pulled up, I just felt like I had to pull up more than I needed to. So that being said, getting back to the AS3X versus the regular receiver, I am much happier flying it the way it is now. It's flying like I expect a plane to fly. All my inputs are doing exactly what I want them to do. There's no softening up of it. When I do that split S, pull up maneuver, it pulls up the way it should pull up. I did modify the elevator a little bit, because it softened everything up. Like the elevator, I mechanically dropped it down a notch because I felt it was too much. With AS3X, it didn't feel like it was enough. So again, it definitely softens it up and makes that plane more accessible to someone that it normally wouldn't be accessible to. I feel that there are probably a lot of people out there that own that plane. If I slap that RadioMaster in there, they'd probably pile it in because it changes the flight characteristics to, you know, you're flying it. No one's compensating for anything for you. Then that is my goal when I fly. I want to be flying the plane. I don't want the electronics or anybody else helping me out and compensating for me, because I just still believe that leads to bad habits. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of do a follow-up video on the original video on my You've Been Canceled and the Ultimate 3D video, and say that there was a distinct difference. AS3X definitely softened it up, which I think would help people out and make it more accessible to others. And I'm not a complete hater. I don't want to use it still, but again, I've always believed that it has its place in the hobby, but it made me appreciate it a little bit more. So big ups to SPEKTRUM. Your AS3X is definitely cool. It definitely will help people fly a really fun plane that I would rather be flying 100% myself. But no, it was a little bit of an eye opener, and I just wanted to say, you know, I rant and you know, I can say bad things about stuff and rant on it, like I don't like it, whatever. But I'm also, I guess, man enough to say, hey, you know, this I was wrong to a certain degree with the AS3X. So AS3X, you impressed me, and I'm glad that it's on that plane and it's more accessible and more people can fly it, because it's a really fun plane to fly. That's all I got. Until next time, Hollywood out.
Coming in.